Good morning. I am Nasaria Suckoo Chollette, Caymanian performance and visual artist. I'm here at the National Gallery of the Cayman Islands to share a little about my work and the process, and specifically talk about this show, Island of Women. Well, if anybody had created a theme that was just for me and for my work, it would have been this show, Island of Women, because a lot of my work from the time I started creating has been centered around the lives of women in the Cayman Islands. One of the things that really inspires me is, well, first of all, it was somebody made a comment that, in Cayman there's no specific culture. Basically, they said we don't have a culture, and my whole work is to combat that idea, because you can't have a people if you do not have, without culture. Culture exists where people exist. And so a lot of my work is created to really pay homage to those type of themes, and to make sure that we are all sharing in that conversation. My work centers around women's issues, women's work, honoring their process, because those are the people who actually, out of necessity, created the things we call cultural heritage. And so this theme in itself was just extreme. What was hard was picking what theme, what was I going to focus on in this. Most of the research starts in my work with my elders, the women in my family. I usually go directly to them with questions about times that they lived through. But specifically for this show, I really wanted to get more information, and I visited the archive to do some research on women's lives during that period. But the nucleus for the show started off in a beautiful space. There's a gathering once a month of some elders in Georgetown. And I started attending, and it feels good to sort of be the young'un in the group. And they talk about so many things, and I'm just sitting there like a sponge, like soaking it in. And they started talking about the Sea-Inn, which I think was a bar and a restaurant. And all the women on a specific day, Wednesdays, would gather together with their wash pans to wash clothing for other people in the community, so they were being paid to do the washing. And all the conversations they had, and it struck me, all the stuff you find in laundry, right? All the stuff that you find when you're washing somebody's personal items and you learn, becomes fodder for the conversation. And basically you're getting into people's business, but it's also a historical retelling of these people's lives, a look into their lives and the truth about their lives. It takes a lot of trust to let somebody else wash your clothing. So that specific conversation is what really inspired Out in the Wash for me. The Out in the Wash exhibitions, well, I wanted to start off with these metal basins, because I have a memory with those as well, because we had neighbors who used to actually take their baths outside around the back of their house in these. And I remember we had a bathroom, so we didn't do that, and they did that, and I wanted to be in the tub outside and was told, no, we don't do that. And I was jealous of them. So that's my memory of the basins. But in terms of the objects within them, the idea was encasing underwater the items that are precious, because it's almost as if we're keeping them holy, as in baptism of these items from the past. Some are personal, some are historical. And each basin told a story. It's its own vignette. So with this vignette, in this wash pan, I was dealing with the folklore of duppies, these stories that your parents tell you to keep you in line. If you're not behaving, the duppies are coming to get you. But also on another level, I am looking at I'm challenging this idea that handed down African religions are innately evil things like obeah and voodoo, which I think stems from a misunderstanding of those spiritual paths and practices. And so I wanted to put everything that encompasses all of us here. So we do have a cross, but then you have the egg. And the idea is with my work, is always to create conversation. And I've had some reactions that have been sort of positive, and then I've had some reactions where people are sort of afraid of this basin. And to me, that is a success, because it's causing people to sort of confront their own thoughts of their own past and history. The middle basin, I would say, is more about personal stories and homage to my mother and her journey as a Caymanian woman who she wanted something else, and so I wanted this wash pan to actually show some of her journey, the journey of a woman, the work that women did, and then also travels. Because she was quite ahead of her time. She didn't just go to Miami. She was the type of woman who went to many different places farther away. And I think she instilled that in all of her kids. And then I'm in there because I am a part of that journey. So the photographs are memories, but they're hazy. And they're just like time would do to a photograph. They're hazy, and you cannot see it clearly, because sometimes looking at the past, you look at it with your now interpretation, which will change what it was back then. And I think that's important too, because what the viewer brings to my work is as important as what I put into it. With this wash pan, we're dealing with the rituals of a Sunday morning. And there are always some surprise elements in each one of the wash pans, because I'm actually telling these stories not just as a picture, but with dimension. And so here we would have, the almond stick hanger for your clothing, because you would prepare all of your clothes for church. Church was, everything you prepared for the day before, and the ritual of having your tea, and then, ironing your clothes, and the pins, and for your hair, those type of things. And then there is a bottle of rum, because more often than not, there would be a member of the family, an older uncle, a brother, a grandfather, who did not attend church the next day because they had been out on Friday night, because Friday night was kitchen dance. And so these stories that I'm telling in these, some of them are personal, but then once you tell it, you find how so many people had the same experience. Once again, that's about pulling us together, a gathering of who we are into one storyboard.
Action.
As a Caymanian woman of color and artist, it's really an honor to be the griot for bringing these stories forward through my work. And what really is important to me is sharing them with everyone, with people who are Caymanian and people who are living here and are new Caymanians, because that's what helps us to grow as a country. That's what helps us to get to know each other. There will be more iterations of this work, and I'll be examining these stories going further in hopefully new and innovative ways, but taking this specific piece of work abroad is a big goal of mine, and also to be able to share it then with people of other cultures in those countries, not just to see our differences, but really to solidify all the things we have that are in common. And I think that's the work that we need to do if we're going to try to make the world a better place. And not to be corny, but that is our job.